What a redecoration or make good means is that when the tenant moves out, they need to return the property to its original condition. So let's say you are a tenant in a house. When you move out, you're expected to remove all your furniture or your personal belongings. If there's any holes in the wall, you can patch it up and all that type of stuff. Same goes with most commercial properties. The issue is a lot of the times the definition of a redecoration or a make good is not well defined within the lease. So it's very open-ended, and that's usually where there's a lot of disputes. The other thing also is a lot of these commercial property leases, a lot of them, they don't do a proper handover in the beginning. A lot of these properties are not well documented in terms of like what it looked like originally. So what you'll find is a lot of times when these tenants move out, they leave behind a lot of stuff, or they don't repair a lot of stuff that they've made modifications to. And that could be very expensive, very costly. So the redecoration or the make good clause is really important because it protects the landlord. Like there's one example where we're looking at a battery factory. Batteries are very hazardous materials and you can't just dump them. There are very specific ways that you dispose of batteries. Let's say if that make good clause or redecoration clause wasn't properly defined, the tenant could have left behind like hundreds of batteries or battery parts, which would be very expensive for the landlord to remove and dispose of. It could cost $300,000, $400,000 because these are hazardous materials. Yeah, so that's why this is so important. A lot of times, like I said, because these tenancies are long-term, usually 5 years, 10 years, whatever, they didn't do a proper handover in the beginning, or it wasn't documented properly, or the files were lost somewhere. And in the middle of it, the landlord sells the property and the new buyer forgets to ask for a copy of the original ingoing inspection report or handover report. And then by the time the tenant moves out, the new owner of the property has nothing to refer to. So they're just guessing, and it's like your word against my word a lot of times. So how you mitigate that is having a very well-defined make good clause in the lease. If the lease says the tenant must revert the tenancy back to base building, that's very well defined, because base building basically means strip out everything. I have seen in many occasions where things are not well documented. It's not because anyone was being deceitful, it just wasn't well documented.